G'day guys, and it is that time of year again. It is Christmas. Well, it's 2 days off Christmas, and we have a fantastic tradition that I've developed for the last few years, which is making croissants. So when we open the presents in the morning, we've got the croissants that are just baking beautifully in the background, and you can smell the smell just wafting through it. And I love this tradition, but it means I've got to get the croissants ready a few days in advance and get them ready to go so they're just ready to pop up and go in the morning. But I'm gonna have to do it a little bit differently this year because I like tricking things up because I'm a little bit weird like that. So this year I'm gonna make some normal croissants, cruffins, and cronuts. So if you guys are curious, keep watching. Now this one might sound a little bit tricky, but it's honestly not that hard. It just takes a little bit of time to get it ready, and you've got to be thinking ahead, which I didn't because it is almost 11 o'clock at night. My wife has gone to bed a little bit cranky because I didn't think about this earlier, and now I've got to make up my dough so it can go in the fridge and be ready for tomorrow. So I'm gonna get started on that. Yeah, so I have some milk, 1.5 cups that I have nuked in the microwave. It's basically bringing up to about room temperature and perfect temperature for the yeast to just get activated. And I have some dried yeast. You can use compressed yeast, you can use live active, but this stuff works quite well and it's really difficult to find proper condensed yeast these days. Okay guys, so to start us off, I have some milk and just regular milk. I've warmed it up so it's about room temperature, and I have some instant dry yeast. So we whack it into the warm water initially to activate the yeast and to make sure it's actually working, because sometimes when it's been sitting in the freezer, it doesn't work. So this will make sure it activates and comes up and dry and works really well. And I'm stuttering a little bit because I am tired, which tends to happen when I get a bit tired. Alright, so there's 1.25 teaspoons of dry yeast. And my really bad measuring seemed to miss a bit. So we got this, and we've got a bit of brown sugar. Alright, so I have my yeast and my brown sugar and milk in here. So I'm just gonna let it sit till it rises a little bit. So just till it gets a little bit frothy on the top, and we'll know that yeast is good and it's fully dissolved and in here. So while that's doing its thing, I'm gonna get the flour ready and start beating it up. And mixing flour. I have a cup in there. Try not to make too much of a mess. And to the 500 grams of that, I am going to add about to the 500 grams of flour, I'm going to add about 50 grams of butter. And then I'm gonna knead this together inside of it till it incorporates itself together and just becomes a big clump of flour and butter. You can tell I'm getting a bit sleepy because I'm not making much sense even to myself. Okay, so it's next day, and this has been inside of the fridge overnight, which means it's solidified, the butter inside of it's gone a little bit harder, and I have my extra butter here. All the measurements will be below in the description, so you don't need to listen to me waffle too much. But basically we're going to need to roll this up together and make a nice croissant-y dough.
So what I'm doing here is called the French rolling technique. It's basically layering the butter in between the layers of pastry, so when it puffs up and rolls out, you'll have nice little layers of butter, which makes it all done stick together and makes it puff up and give it a nice flaky, crusty technique. And basically what I do is fold in each corner, stretch it out, and then roll the entire thing out. And it just makes a nice layer of butter throughout the entire thing.
Okay, so my mix here is going to go inside of the fridge and solidify a little bit. It's going to make the butter chill up a little bit and stop it from smushing everywhere when I try and roll it out. So it's going to go in there for another probably half an hour, see how it feels, and then I'll come back and roll it out again.
Another important thing that I forgot to mention is how the butter and dough should be sitting together. So you want them to have about the same texture, about the same feel. Otherwise they won't roll out particularly well and it won't feel particularly nice. But basically we're rolling it out 3 times total, and that will give us about, I think it's about 90 something layers of butter and dough in there, which should give a really, really nice, crusty, flaky dough, which is awesome and not particularly hard to achieve.
Okay, so another few hours have passed, and this one has been sitting inside of the fridge for probably about 5 hours now. It's just solidified quite a lot. The butter is a lot more tough, and the yeast has gone a little bit dormant, which is what I want. So I am now going to roll it out so it's a lot thinner. So probably to about 5 mil thick, and then go from there. Okay, so these ones are rolled out, and I'm going to cut them into the croissant shapes. So just a little center roll like that. And then we'll start with one of these ones. So fold that bit out, and then roll them up into the croissant shapes. And then they go onto their own little tray. So this is my tray of croissants. So I'm gonna wrap these ones up and let them chill down for tomorrow. So tomorrow morning I'll pull them out and let them rise. So first batch into the fridge. Okay, so now time for the cronuts, and they are pretty simple. So I've got a couple. And then right through the middle, I have my little one to make it, it's probably a little bit too small actually. See if I can find something a bit smaller. Okay, so I can't find anything smaller, so I'm just gonna roughly do it by eye. And here are my cronuts. So they are gonna rise overnight, and I will get started on the next one. So, Cruffins, which are basically just croissant muffins. So give them a good spray, otherwise this stuff is gonna stick like anything and be an absolute nightmare. So the fantastic thing about these ones is that it gives me a chance to use up all the leftovers and the offcuts of the croissant dough, because all the other bits come in really, really yummy for these bits. So this will all rise quite nicely. So it doesn't need to be particularly nice, it doesn't need to look particularly pretty. Hope you guys can see there. So I'm just going to put the random bits in here, put my little holes from the cronuts. So I've got 6 there, and I'm going to put a nice dollop of Nutella in the middle of each of them, and it should give it a very nice gooey taste if I can get it open with doggy hands. And I'll give it a couple nice cuts down the middle, and that should make them puff up in the middle. And drizzle a little bit of Nutella over the top of each of them. And here we have my Cruffins. So, my nice lovely Cruffins, they are gonna go in the fridge with my cronuts, my croissants, and they are gonna chill down overnight. So, first thing tomorrow morning, when I wake up, so I usually do a little bit earlier than everybody else anyway, I am gonna come down, take these out of the fridge and let them rise for probably about an hour, maybe 2 hours before we actually need them. And it'll allow all the yeast to take off and rise up and just be fantastic in the morning. So, it's Christmas Eve, and I will see you guys soon. So, it'll probably be about 2 seconds for you guys, but I am gonna go finish watching the carols with my wife and family, and continue these in the morning. So, I'll see you guys. Good morning and Merry Christmas, because in Australia at the moment it is Christmas. But in the oven. So they're gonna cook for about 15 minutes. After about 10 minutes, I'll turn them down. So they're going in there at about 205 degrees-ish. And after about 10 minutes, I'm gonna drop them down to about 180 and finish them off in there. And then for my cronuts, they have to get shallow fried. So I'm gonna put a pot on the stove. I've got to put a shallow frying pan on the stove and heat up the oil and then drop these guys in. So it's Christmas, so I'm gonna be quick and enjoy.
Okay, so these are, it's almost hot enough. I'm just waiting for the temperature to get to about 180 degrees Celsius. And once it gets there, I'm gonna drop them in. So this is a very shallow frying oil, so it's probably about that thick inside of it, so it's not very much at all. And 176, 7, I'm gonna call that ready. So I've got my cronuts, which have risen nicely, and very gently dunk them in there. So these shouldn't take very long at all, and I have my cinnamon sugar ready to go. So you want to let these get nice and golden brown and delicious. And my other stuff has just beat, so I'll bring you guys along for that. A nice little time delay shot. So exciting times. And have a look at that. Christmassy deliciousness. And Cruffins. Check that out. I'll let them cool a little bit and hopefully I can get them out of the cases. So let's go back to here. So these are not taking very long at all. That looks good enough to me. Check out that, see how much they're puffing up, it's fantastic. Alright, that is perfect.
So there you have it, guys. Croissants, Cruffins and cronuts. And I'm excited because everybody's waiting outside for me, so I'm going to get out there and start getting into these. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if it's the first video of mine, give me a thumbs up for actually doing this on Christmas and keeping you guys entertained. So I'll see you guys next time, and subscribe. Thanks, guys.